Togo Ultra Twisters are a very rare coaster model. This is a pipeline-style coaster where the train is positioned in between the tracks. The most accessible one is arguably Ultra Twister at Nagashima Spa Land. I have had the pleasure of experiencing this coaster multiple times. The coaster is super quirky, but is it actually good? Find out in this review. Togo developed the Ultra Twister model in the mid-1980s. The prototype went to Six Flags Great Adventure in 1986, and a few years later, it was moved to Six Flags Astro World, where it operated until that park closed in 2005. While on the topic of that ride, I will be showing quite a few clips of this one throughout the review, because there's more footage available of it. The other 6 ended up in Japan. However, only 4 still remain. One is the aforementioned version at Nagashima Spa Land. Another is the rare dive loop variant at the Rusutsu Resort. The third is at Brazilian Park with Shuzen Highland, but it is worth noting this one has had extended spurts of downtime through the years. The fourth is at Greenland, but this one has been standing but not operating ever since 2020. It is unclear if it will ever operate again. Nagashima's is the most accessible Ultra Twister for 2 reasons. 1. It operates consistently unlike the one at Shuzen Highland or Greenland. The only time it was closed for an extended period was between 2011 and 2012 when it was relocated across the park to accommodate the Peter Rabbit Kiddie area. 2. It is in a more convenient location than the Rusutsu Resort. Nagashima is located near Nagoya, which is on Japan's main island in between Tokyo and Osaka. The Rusutsu Resort is on one of Japan's northernmost islands, far from the main tourist spots or the country's other major amusement parks. Originally, Nagashima's Ultra Twister is white, but now has yellow supports and green rails. I personally am not a big fan of this color scheme, but it is definitely more vibrant than it was before. The current location is along the edge of the park. It is one of the first rides you see as you approach the resort. That near vertical lift and drop certainly piques your interest. This is such a bizarre looking ride. In my visits to Nagashima, the only coasters with sizable queues have been Steel Dragon 2000, Hakuge, and Arashi. The other coasters have mostly been walk-ons, Ultra Twister included. That is impressive since this coaster does not have the best capacity. It runs single-car trains that seat just 6 riders. There are just 3 rows of 2, and in my visits, there have only been 2 cars on the track at once. As with this park's other roller coasters, this ride has a strict no loose article policy. Everything must be stored in a locker on the ride platform. This even includes glasses secured by a strap or items in zippered pockets. There are no exceptions. Seating is assigned front to back. The forces don't vary too much on this one. The drop is a tad better in the back, but everything else otherwise feels identical in my opinion. The front gets an unobstructed view, which is really neat on a coaster this unique. Visually, it doesn't look like any other coaster out there. Riders are secured by over-the-shoulder restraints. These feel similar to the ones in Aero Loopers in my opinion. I was worried they'd cause headbanging, especially given Togo's reputation with their coasters in the United States. But this coaster actually tracks very smoothly, so there's no headbanging. The ride is not perfectly comfortable though, but more on that later. This ride utilizes a continuously moving load platform. Trains move through this section backwards. Once secured, you clear the station and reach a switch track. This tilts the train from horizontal to near vertical. This positions you forwards, staring directly at the sky. This is sort of freaky. It feels like you're being positioned for a rocket launch. You then have a chain lift. This feels similar to a vertical lift on a Gerstlauer Eurofighter. This brings you to your max height. I have not been able to find a reported height for Nagashima specifically, but the version in the US was 97 feet, or 29.5 meters tall, and I believe this coaster is a clone. Once at the top, you are flung over an 85-degree plunge. The negative Gs are not as powerful as those in the aforementioned Eurofighters, but you still get an okay pop of ejector airtime. This is followed by a camelback. I love this hill. It offers solid and super sustained floater airtime. The train then rips through the first of 3 inversions. a barrel roll. It's a neat aesthetic seeing the rails twist around you. Then the maneuver itself is rapid and offers nice laterals. You then have a quick rise upwards that offers a little floater airtime. This takes you to the mid-course brake run, which is the worst part of the ride by far. The decelerations in this ride are brutal. The initial stop is abrupt and jerks you forwards. This alone would be bad, but the ride is not done yet. You then continue rolling forwards ever so slowly, and then you stop a second time. This one feels like a car crash. It violently rattles the vehicle. At this point, you are stopped on a switch track. After a brief pause, the track tilts downwards and backwards roughly 30 degrees. The car is released down a small drop into the second half. This part is experienced in reverse. This leads to 2 additional barrel rolls. These are much slower than the first one, so they offer good hang time, and I find them very disorienting between the backwards travel and the seemingly never-ending series of rails that are enveloping you. Immediately after that final barrel roll, you hit the brakes and slam to a stop. You want to brace yourself for this, otherwise your head can smash into the seat back. It really is unfortunate the braking on this coaster is so bad. It is the biggest issue with this ride. It takes a coaster that otherwise tracks smoothly and makes it a bit uncomfortable, or genuinely painful if you don't brace yourself. You then return to the station, hopefully without a concussion, ending the roughly 1,400 foot, or 430-ish meter long experience. In terms of pacing, this coaster is pretty good. The outward and returning legs are non-stop action. The only pause is the switch track in the middle of the coaster. That is why I'm really intrigued by Rusutsu's Ultra Twister. That one replaces the far switch track with a dive loop. This would eliminate the only dead spot, improving the pacing, and you take that finale with ridiculous speed. You just lose out in the hang time and backwards motion in exchange. What would I rate the Ultra Twister? I would give Nagashima's a 7 out of 10. It is a good ride. This is such a unique experience with the track setup. It offers some sweet airtime at the start and 3 disorienting inversions. I just wish the braking was not as harsh. This alone took 1 to 1/2 points away because it's genuinely uncomfortable. Still, a majority of this ride is great. Just brace yourself for those stops. Those are my thoughts on Ultra Twister at Nagashima Spa Land. What are your thoughts on this ride, or any of the other Ultra Twisters out there? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.